how y'all doing today? Welcome to Vera's radio show. I will continue with my topic on today in regard to grief and loss. This is going to be grief and loss part 2. What do you do when you go through a process of grief and loss? Now, I know last week we kind of went over the different stages, and I just wanted to reiterate a few of those stages right now before we go further. Last week, I just want to do a recant of why it even came about, the topic itself. I've been talking to a lot of people and even myself thinking about how we're dealing with the grief and the loss of what we thought life was going to be like in 2020. And here it is, we're almost finished with this year that we're in. We're coming down to the last quarter. This is the last quarter. And what are we going to do, right? How have we handled things up until this point? Well, I tell you, a lot of people that I've spoke to, they're dealing with grief and loss in some kind of way, whether it been a job loss, whether it had been a relationship, or someone has lost a loved one and really don't know how they're going to process it all or how they're going to get through it. Now, some people have reached out to counseling and therapists, certified counselors and therapists. Now, let me just clear the air and let you all know, no, I am not a licensed therapist, but I do have some type of experience in life, and as it relates to listening to my family and friends deal with the same things. And grief and loss happens to us all. It doesn't matter what level it is. It's all the same process emotionally. And so I wanted to just tap into like the 5 stages. I just wanted to reiterate, what are the 5 stages that you go through when you're dealing with grief and loss? Because there's 5 stages according to this article that I had read from Elizabeth Kubler and David Kessler. They wrote this article, which I thought was really, really helpful to help people get through the process. And if you're not going through the process, maybe you know someone that is going through the process of grief and loss. And how do you deal with it? Well, according to the article, as I stated earlier, according to the article, there's 5 stages. And I like the stages and I like the way that it's all set up. But of course, you know, I got to put my own little twist on it. Come on now. It wouldn't be Vera's radio show if I didn't put my own spin on it. But what they said was denial is the first one. When you're at that place where you're just like totally at a loss for words. You can't believe that this has happened to you. I don't care if it's like I said, a loss of a loved one, a job, relationship, family issues, and now you're not talking to Bobo the fool or whoever. Loss is loss. And then you deal with anger, which is number 2. The anger that you may feel from the process of losing a job, a loved one, or whatever it is, you name it. You put the fill in the blanks for yourself. But you go through the process of anger. But let me back up. I seem to sometimes go a little bit too fast. And I know that I talk fast. That's just my makeup. That's just who I am. But denial, come on, we all know denial is just like, you just can't believe what happened. You just feel like, what is going on? What's going on in my world? Like, this is not my reality. When the truth is, in 2020, we all have to agree that this is our new reality in life, right? We use the word new normal. But I want to beg to differ and use a new word and say we're creating new memories, because this isn't normal. No matter how you slice it, this is not normal what we're dealing with and how we're living, right? It's not normal at all. And then you go through the process of anger, as I said, which is stage number 2. And you're angry about the fact that it all happened in the first place. I mean, what can you do about it, right? There's nothing, absolutely nothing you can do about what has taken place. And then I know for stage 3, it's called bargaining. There are times when you feel like, okay, maybe if I would have done this, or maybe if I changed that, or maybe if I changed this or that, things would have went differently. But that's just, again, that's another emotional stage that a person goes through when you've dealt with any type of loss. I just want you to know that it's normal, right? Well, I just said the word isn't normal, it's new memories. But it's normal to have these emotions. I am not a therapist. Let me clear the air, because at times I do understand that we learn a lot of things from YouTube and we learn a lot of things from other people. But from my own personal experience and people that I've talked to about the situations that has happened to them, it is, going through the process. It's stages to accepting this new world that we live in, right? And so depression, oh my goodness, I know a lot about that. Depression can set in at any given time. There is no set time for depression. Let me just be clear and say this. Well, they have stages, right, that they have written down as it relates to this article that I've read. But I feel like depression, it may set in at any given time. A place where you just feel lost for words. And then that thing called, now they don't have this down as a stage, but let me just say, because I have dealt with loss, sometimes you feel isolated. Sometimes you may feel like, what is this, right? Like the children of Israel. I think I said this last time when I was talking about how when the children of Israel was in the wilderness and the Lord had fed them manna, but they were like, what is this? What is this? What is this thing? What is this new world that I'm going through? What is this new phase of life? Is this really real? Am I dreaming? Is this a nightmare? What in the world is going on? Well, it's a part of the 5 stages of grief and loss. So if you're dealing with that, I don't want you to feel that no one understands, because when you are depressed, there's like a hopeless tunnel that you're going down, like a slippery slope, and you don't even know how you got there. But it's a part of what you're feeling, and it's a normal stage of dealing with grief and loss. It happens to us all, but I just decided that I wanted to talk about it. And the truth be told, I felt a pressing in my spirit, really from the Lord, to talk about this, because it is like a silent a taboo or elephant in the room right now. Before I got on the post today, or the live broadcast on my radio show, I had just read somewhere where a mother and daughter had committed suicide. And it was weeks apart that this had taken place. I believe the mother had committed suicide first. And then a week later, then the daughter had committed suicide. Now, the first thing I thought of when I read the article, I said, wow, they may have been going through really a lot of depression for whatever reason. Because it's like waking up like Groundhog Day. I don't know how many of you have seen the movie Groundhog Day, but the movie really entails this particular man. Now, I'm not going to quote everything right, so don't nobody judge me. I'm just telling my own version of the story, because this is Vera's radio show, so I can say it the way I want to say it, because this is my reality of what I saw in the movie. So the movie is called Groundhog Day. I believe that's what it's called. And the man was waking up every single day, and it was the same events taking place every single day, and they called it Groundhog Day. Now, it's more detail to the story or to the movie. If you want to check it out, hey, y'all can hit me up on my Facebook or in Instagram. I'm all out there. You name it. You can just hit me up and let me know what is your take on it. But I feel like we've been living in a Groundhog Day, and it's just at a place where people are depressed. They don't want to talk about it. And if they do talk about it, they try to make light of it. But behind the scenes, they're really depressed and they don't want anybody to know. I've even felt like I battled depression, even though I'm a happy-go-lucky person. Sometimes you feel like, oh my goodness, like for me, everybody knows I love to travel the world, okay? I love to go all over the place, and I have had to come to the realization that that is not a good idea in the state that we're living in right now, right? So we are all dealing with something, and I really felt like I wanted all of you to know that you're not by yourself. Does that make sense? You're not by yourself, and it's something that I really felt I wanted to talk to you about, because we can get on here and we talk about the Word of God. Yes, the Word of God, it nourishes our soul. The Word of God, it really gives us a different perspective on life in general. But also, we are living in a natural world, right? And we go through things in the natural. And so I always like to have a balance when I talk to people about anything, we know that Jesus is Lord, right? We know that he's a sovereign God. We know that he's a healer. But we also know that we're still flesh and blood, and we go through situations. And sometimes, if I could be totally honest, people who profess to know the name of the Lord and profess to be Christians, we want to act like we're super spiritual and super strong to the point that, no, we're all right. And if you really want to know the truth about it, look all over the social media platforms. There are pastors and people all over the world who have committed suicide, who have been depressed. And these are things that people are not talking about. So, hey, I love talking about all kinds of topics. That's just who I am. And so I wanted to say that, listen, if you're going through the stages of grief and loss, that it's normal. It's a normal emotional feeling that you're going through. You know, loss of what you thought your job situation was going to look like. I know one particular person who had this whole thing mapped out from January 2020 that they were going to make a lot of money in the summertime because of the profession that they were in, only to find out that because of the pandemic, it just wiped out all of the plans. So all of the plans went down the drain. And now they had to succumb to the fact that what they thought they were going to make, they weren't able to. And it put them in a bind financially as it relates to taking care of home as well, paying the bills. You know how it is out here. We have bills that we have to pay, right? We have things that we have to take care of. And people are dealing with the loss of it all. There are restaurants. I've been watching the news, and there are restaurants that have to close down that have been the mom and pop staples in the community because of the pandemic. Now, if that's not grief and loss, I don't know what else is. Understanding that even if you see an establishment still standing erect does not mean that they have the financial means to keep it open. So people are contemplating, should I shut down my restaurant? Should I shut down my business? Should I move back home with my parents? People are having to make some really hard decisions in this hour. And I want you to know that you're not alone with the feelings that you're going through. Because again, you go through the stages, which is number one, denial of it all. And then you go through the stage of anger, which is number two. And then number three, you go through the bargaining. And number four is what I've just been spending a lot of time talking about, which is depression. People go through depression because of what they're dealing with. And then the last one is acceptance. And that's where I wanted to kind of bring it on home before I have to wrap this all up for next week. Acceptance. Although it is not popular, and although it does not feel good, although you may feel ashamed, embarrassed, guilt, if you have to shut down a business, or if you lost a loved one and now you have to figure out life now as it looks, which is going to look totally different than what it has looked like before. If your loved one was the breadwinner, now you have to figure out how you're going to make it. People have lost loved ones during this COVID-19. Now they're not only have lost their loved one, they have to figure out life. How are they going to survive? So we have a lot of things that we are dealing with on our plates in this season. And now we have to really, really decide, hey, this is our new normal. We have to accept life for what it is. And it's not normal. You'll never really be okay. You just have to move on. And that's what I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit more next week. How do you move on? I will come from biblical texts as well as just natural things and activities and strategies on how we get through it, because it's not easy for someone to walk away from their business. It's not easy for someone to get a pink slip and accept the fact that now they have to start their lives over, maybe after being there for so many years of your life. Grief and loss happens to us all. It's just on different levels and how you deal with it. Well, I want to wrap up this part of my little segment today. Thank you for tuning in to Vera's Radio Show. I will hit y'all up next week. It's going to be fire. You know there's always laughter, real conversations, raw conversations. You already know how I do. I love to do it all. And I just want to thank you for tuning in. And, tell your friends about it. It's always going down on Vera's Radio Show. So enjoy y'all day. All right, y'all. How y'all be out there? How y'all doing out there today in Facebook land? I just wanted to tune in today. I know I've been in and out, but anyway, always when I come on, it's a good time to see y'all. I'm about to head over now to one of my good girlfriends' Zoom, so I'll probably be back on. I'm going to be going live again with one of my friends. We're doing something for the women. So, hey, I might just pop back on a little bit after I finish that. But y'all enjoy your day. And I want to let you know that if you are dealing with grief and loss, you know someone that's dealing with grief and loss. It could be a friend. It could be a family member. Please share this video. It's not about me just trying to get likes. It's not about me just trying to get someone to, now I have more friends on the Facebook Live. No, people are going through real things, right? People are having to deal with and navigate life a different way, right? This is our new way of living. We're doing things different, and we have to create new memories. So if you know that someone needs to hear something that will uplift them while they're going through this time in their lives, dealing with grief and loss, make sure you share my video, okay? I appreciate y'all. Have a good day.